Please tell me, who are we talking to? Give me your full name, where you're from, how you're involved with the Catholic Worker.
My name is Thomas Daniel Roddy. I'm 78 years old, with a family of 9 children, 1 wife. Born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, back in the 30s and 40s. Studied for the Roman Catholic priesthood with a missionary order called Maryknoll for 6 years.
Wow.
And after that, a few years later, I married a young widow with 6 children, adopted the kids, and we had 3 more between us.
Wow.
My exposure to Dorothy Day and her whole tradition dates from my early seminary days, the early 1950s, when I picked up the newspaper. Somebody put it in my hands, and I became a devotee of her On Pilgrimage column, and she published every month, full of all sorts of literary references. She was a rich mind.
Yeah.
She read great literature, and she talked about it easily. I'm still taking her cues yet today in my reading selections. Anyway, I had some serious involvement with the Catholic Worker Movement in the late 50s and early 60s here in Chicago. And I stayed at the New York House a couple of times back in the 50s when I was in New York City. My exposure to Dorothy herself was a handshake in the early 50s, my seminary days, and then in 69 I hosted her to dinner at the Reba Place Fellowship, a Christian commune in Evanston, Illinois. I've been a member there for 40 years. I invited her out, and the Mennonites, the Peace Church people loved her. She was an icon in the peace movement in those days. She still is.
Yeah.
Down through the years, between Dorothy Day and Thomas Merton, my prayer life and my intellectual life have been fertilized.
Yes. Yes. Wonderful. So, where is your base now, more or less?
Evanston, Illinois.
Evanston.
Yeah.
So Chicago.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Indeed.
I'm part of that Reba community.
Yeah.
250 people. I've been there 40 years.
All right.
It's a rich place to grow old.
And you have...
Lots of people love me. It's amazing. I don't understand it.
And you've been coming to Sugar Creek for quite a few years.
Not really. Last year was my first.
Is that
I
right?
had dear friends who tried to recruit me to come 10, 15 years ago, but I never responded.
Right on. Well, great. Tell us a little more about your visit with Dorothy Day in Chicago and other places.
Well, in the summer of 1969, my family and I were new to Reba Place. We had just moved in. And I heard on the local grapevine that Dorothy was in town, in Evanston, staying with a friend of hers, Nina Polson. They were lifelong friends, like 50 years or so. So I mustered up the nerve to pick up the phone and call her. And invite her to dinner on our Friday night supper at Reba. We had a regular all-community supper together, and there were only about 3 dozen of us at that time.
Yes.
And she was delighted.
Right.
She had heard of us. She heard nice things about us. I was thrilled. So I went out, picked her up, brought her in, introduced her to the crowd, then to the dinner, and afterward, I took her over to our little coffee house, the basement of an old single-family house we had, still have, and she lectured for about an hour to maybe 60 or 80 people.
She was a good talker.
Oh, she was. She could spin yarn.
What was her tone? What was her manner of speaking? Was she...
She's a journalist by trade.
Yeah.
As a person, she's quite cool. She was not what you'd call warm and affectionate. But she was engaging, and cool is the word that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
She knew me by name anyway.
She had a nice smile, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, I don't know how much you want to say. She was a joker. She could wisecrack with any men in any bar.
Yeah.
she was with it.
Great.
She, driving her home, she remarked to me, a rather telling remark, that she was impressed with us as a Christian commune, a common purse operation of families.
Right on.
She bemoaned the fact to me, and I was surprised when she was so candid, that the Catholic worker houses have never really nurtured young marriages and family life. You just can't do it with a street people society.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't have the stability.
Yeah.
She confessed to that, and she mentioned that she admired us for doing it.
Right on.
Of course, we aren't open, discreet people, particularly like Catholic worker houses are.
Right on. Well, great. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you for your time. That was wonderful. I'm so glad I caught you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're entirely welcome.
Right on.
What are you going to do?